Hello and welcome back to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. We're your hosts. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Sean.
And we are glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. In this podcast, we talk about real sales issues, big and small, for salespeople, selling situations, and sales leadership. Collectively, we have over 50 years of sales, selling leadership, and sales acumen under our belts, and we're here to share a little bit of that with you in the next 15 minutes. We're glad you're here. Enjoy the show.
Happy New Year, Kevin.
Hey, Happy New Year, Sean. Good to see you. And we've switched roles here. Now I'm wearing a boom mic, and you're going, regular camera and microphone.
It's Christmas time, or we just got done with Christmas, so maybe some new gifts. Did you get new new headset, right? So
no, I was trying to match your level of expertise in the podcasting world, so I leveled up here.
We'll see how this one looks. Maybe I'll go back to the headset after this. So I appreciate it.
Well, hey, today we're going to talk about sales leadership. We kind of set this podcast up as talking about sales, selling, sales leadership, and sales acumen. But today we're going to hit it really hard on the sales leadership. Let's dive in.
I agree. So it's January 3rd. There's a good chance that some of the people listening to this didn't actually get all the stuff done that they needed to get done in December to have a really strong start of the year. But it's only January 3rd. So it's time to catch up and hurry up and deliver on some of those things that you probably should have done last year. But now let's get them done. Let's be on board and let's make this happen for this year. Top of mind to me. I'm interested in hearing what you have to say, Kevin, as always. But to me, the top of mind is: do your salespeople have their compensation plan delivered to them, and do they understand
it? That's a tough hill to climb, right? Because then you also have to say, well, do they also have their account assignments? Have we done any account shuffling? But rather than try and solve every problem all at one time, I'm in agreement. We need to focus on the first one. How do people get paid? Because that's what they take from the business home, and you take a lot of work home with you anyway. But you don't want that in the back of somebody's mind going, do I have an account plan for me? Do they have a commission plan for me yet? Time to get started. The year has 365 selling days, and we're the third day in, so we're already starting to chip away at the availability to hit our goals if they're not assigned already. So, when it comes to compensation plans, if they're not written, if they're not updated, if they're not signed off on, you can expect, that first commission cycle, people are going to be at your doorstep as a sales leader. Hey, why is this like it is, and what's the future hold?
Yeah, I like to point out that in most companies, not every company, but in most companies, the salespeople are the few people that have something that's undefined on January 1st as to how they're going to get paid. Everybody else in the company, the janitor all the way up to probably the CEO, has their compensation plan kind of locked in stone year after year after year. Sure, it gets updated and modified on review bases and whatever. But the salesperson actually probably doesn't know what he's going to get paid. And I say he or she, what they're going to get paid on January 1st. So it's just not fair for them to be in that situation where there is that ambiguity and they can't plan their lives. That this is a time of a recession. I'm not going to say that I'm an economic prognosticator and can actually predict that we're in a recession, but if we're not, we're pretty darn close. So there's that anxiety that happens in every family situation around the kitchen table. How are we going to get the bills paid? Are we going to go on vacation this year? Those types of things. So be polite to your sales team and just get that done and make that a priority. If you didn't get it done in December, my preference is that you did it on December 1st. But if you didn't get it done in December, get it done now.
Yeah. And if you want more information about comp plans, account planning, CRMs, our Q4 series took those subjects individually and really broke them down. So go back and look through our library of content there. And if you want to learn more and dive even deeper into your business and your challenges, feel free to reach out to Sean or I directly. We love this kind of work. This is what we do for a living every day, all day. We invite those kind of conversations. So, well, Sean, let's talk about if they haven't got the comp plan done and they haven't got their account planning done, what is the first thing a salesperson can do to help move that needle forward? So, is there a conversation starter you would suggest for a salesperson to get that ball moving for their sales leadership?
Yeah, so obviously politics comes into play in individual relationships. We have to be careful about how we're giving advice in that area. Um, if you are a salesperson and you don't have your compensation plan yet, don't be a jerk about it. Don't be like, I'm going to quit, blah, blah, blah. That's just not cool, right? So just explain kind of what I just said. Hey, we're trying to figure out, do we buy a new car this year? Are we going on vacation this year? The family is trying to figure these things out. It'd be really nice to know that information and just casually mention that to your sales manager, your sales leader, CEO, whatever the case may be, depending on your company. But remind them that it is important to you and you would like to have that. But don't be a jerk about it. It's too early in the year to say that life ends if I don't know what my compensation plan is. I have gone, and Kevin, I think you've told me stories about you also. I've gone months sometimes without a compensation plan being locked in because of some corporate problem that everybody else was worried about, and salespeople took a back seat to that. Just don't be a jerk, but it's okay for you to remind them that it's important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're a CEO or if you're thinking about how this affects your risk profile for the year, compensation plans are part of every hiring discussion. They're a part of every planning, model for how we price products. So if you're at procurement or pricing or HR, this affects all of the parts of your business. So if you want to shift that risk off of your plate, this is an easy one to get done quickly if you've got the time. So let's now shift gears and say, well, okay, let's pretend they have gotten the compensation plan done. What's number two on your list for getting caught up and getting ready to tackle 2023?
Yeah, 20 for 23. So, well, let me ask you this. You say, what's number two on my list? You want for a salesperson or for a sales manager? Slightly different answer, I think.
Let's stay in the leadership channel right now. Let's go sales leader. What's number two on your list?
So number two on my list is I probably want to, and this is going to be a close tie, so I'm just going to give you two of them. I probably want to make sure, do I really have the right butts in the seats on the bus to actually get me through the year, right? So I'm starting to think already of, I got a number. If I'm a sales leader, I have the company number that I have to hit. Every employee in the company is getting paid because of revenue that comes in. Do I have the right team? And I probably should have worried about this last quarter, but do I have the right team to actually, move forward and be successful? So that's probably one thing I'm worried about. The other thing, if I do have the right team, and so that might be a quick conversation, but if I do have the right team, then do I have the accounts that I'm going after? Do I have the right ones of those that we're actually focused on in the company for new prospects, existing customers? All of that. Do I have all that put in place, and is that all locked in and steady?
Interesting. I probably would have reversed those orders. And this is where, sales is 50% art, 50% science. The science is, what you do. The art is how you do it. And this is where, it's great to have somebody like you to bounce these ideas off of. But I tend to approach the account mix first because I'm of the opinion that you're always, as a small business owner, one or two key accounts away from having just a banner year, right? So really focusing on, not necessarily the who, but the where am I going? And sales is a tough game anyway. So really focusing in and niching down, getting really specific on your targets to build your pipeline and funnel early in the year. And that's just me thinking, hey, B2B sales is where we live. So most of our sales cycles are pretty long. So January is a really critical month for future success. So
I agree.
Interesting that we have.
I agree with what you said. I'm not saying that one was more important than the other. I guess some of this was, on a regular basis, you got to make sure the right people on the bus, right? So if you don't, then this is the time to do it because, and this is what I've learned over 37 years now of learning from the School of Hard Knocks. If you get behind in January, if you get behind in Q1, then it makes a tough year. So let's get going strong early. Let's get ahead of the number. If you're at 90% of your quota at the end of Q1, it just feels like you're always digging yourself out of that hole, right? But if you're 110% of quota at the end of Q1, you're thinking, man, this year's going to go. I'm going to make it. This is going to be a great year. A lot of people, especially in B2B sales, the first quarter is quite often one of the worst quarters, especially like January, where you did all the deals to try to bring in deals into Q4, into December. So January sometimes is already going to be a hurting month of the year in a lot of cases. If you actually are able to hit some good solid doubles and triples, you don't have to have home runs all the time. Then it's a great way to start the year, and you can get ahead of it. And so I used to say to everybody that I've managed in my career, let's just have a strong Q1 so we're not in a hole, and hopefully let's be up a little bit at the end of Q1 so we can really make some programs happen the rest of the year. Thoughts on that?
Completely agree. The idea of not having to dig yourself out of a quota deficit, I mean, that's pulling on my heartstrings there, right? You want everybody to be successful early. I'd like to dig into that a little bit with you and say, well, let's talk about sales leadership. How does the effective, not the efficient, but the effective sales manager really help their team win in Q1? I like to say that, I lead from the front. You lead by walking around, ride-alongs, visiting customers, making sure the strategic accounts are being worked, and I tend to spend a lot of Q1 with marketing. Really, trying to make sure we're walking in lockstep, that we're really weaponizing the operations, right? And what I mean by that is, do the salespeople have what they need to be successful? Is there anything I can do to help? How can I move a barrier, break down a wall to help them be more successful? Your thoughts?
I love that. And in fact, I'm sitting here thinking, with 3 minutes left in our broadcast this morning, it would be really difficult for us to really dig into that one conversation of working with your marketing person to really make sure that this year is going to be great, right? And trying to figure that out, try to get those plans locked in and solidified, so that leads are happening early enough in the year so that the sales team can actually generate revenue from those leads within the year as opposed to next year. Let's this is one of the few times of the year where we actually can do something that actually does affect this year in a B2B kind of situation where long sales times are typical, right? So I love that. We should probably just do a whole episode just on working with marketing.
Absolutely. And to that end, actually, we did a CEO workshop focused on marketing with Susan Gold. So if you haven't checked that episode out, I think that was in June of 2022, or maybe it was July. Regardless, the idea that marketing and sales are so tightly aligned and success can come in big waves is really important to take away. So, well, like I said, we're right here at the bottom of our time slot here, but my big takeaways from today are: get caught up quick, and get aligned so you can get going.
I agree. And focus on bringing in revenue today so that you're not digging yourself out of that proverbial hole that we just talked about for the rest of the year. It makes a really tough year if all year long you're trying to make up for a bad January, bad February. So hit those numbers now, be focused on the bottom line, and the rest of the year will be that much easier.
Agreed. That's good nuggets, Sean. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I think that's great. Thank you very much. Just so you know, for a reminder for those people that haven't seen our episodes, we put these out every week, every Tuesday at 4:30. We put these out. We look forward to your comments, your questions. Please fire back those as you can. Thank you very much, and happy selling.
Thank you very much for attending this session on Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. We hope that we have been able to impart some wisdom, give you some guidance, give you some ideas to think about. If you do have other questions that you would like to ask, do us a favor, drop a note down in the comments, and so we can pick it up and we'll talk about it in a future episode. Thank you very much. Happy selling.